Signature Project Stage 2 by Jade Farmer. The impact of inclusion on the academic achievement of special education students. Every student has the right to access free and public education based on their least restrictive environment, LRE. Students should be taught with their non-disabled peers as much as possible throughout the day. Inclusion requires all students to access education in a general education classroom based on their LRE. For some students, their LRE is to be in a self-contained setting, and for some students, they can be successful in a general education classroom with the right support. Problem and purpose. The problem this quantitative research study will address is the academic achievement of students in special education. The purpose of this quantitative research study is to investigate the impact inclusion has on the academic achievement of students in special education. Support data number 1. The Department of Education for the state of Alabama released their child count numbers for 2023. This figure illustrates the number of students ages 3 to 21 with one of the 13 disability categories: specific learning disability, other health and impairments, and speech or language impairments had the largest number of students with those exceptionalities. Support data number 2. This figure demonstrates the percentage of students receiving inclusion practices in the Miami-Dade School District. Students who attend charter schools were more likely to be placed in an inclusion setting than those who attend public K-12 schools. Support data number 3. This figure demonstrates the percentage of inclusion classes in a school. A quarter of the classes were 0 to 1% inclusive. Background. Lev Vygotsky is known for his sociocultural theory. He believed children's cognitive development is influenced by interactions with parents, teachers, and their peers. The interactions with more knowledgeable others significantly increases not only the quantity of information and the number of skills a child develops, but also affects the development of higher-order mental functions such as formal reasoning. When students with a disability participate in their general education classroom with their non-disabled peers, they are learning skills they need to be successful. Vygotsky's theory suggests focusing on the strengths of the students, placing students in the environment they will strive the best in, and changing the attitude toward special education. Students in special education receive specialized instruction in the areas of reading, math, behavior, functional and adaptive skills, and several other areas. Collaboration between general education teachers, special education teachers, and other related services is an important part of student success. The intent of co-teaching is to make it possible for students with disabilities to access the general curriculum while at the same time benefiting from specialized instruction strategies necessary to nurture their learning. Over the past several years, general education and special education has been moving towards more inclusive spaces. Inclusion allows students to be taught the academic and social skills needed. Inclusive classroom practices involve mobilizing available human resources in order to overcome barriers to participation in learning. Students who are in inclusive classrooms do not have to play catch-up when they return from special education classroom. Inclusion not only impacts special education students, but also general education students. There is a great push for inclusion in K-12 classrooms because of the benefit for all students involved, including an increase in social skills, instruction time, group collaboration, attendance behavior, and fosters a sense of belonging within all students. When the general education and special education teachers collaborate, students benefit and have more success. There are several benefits to inclusion, including growth in social cognition, improvements in self-concepts, development of personal principles, and new friendships. Action plan. Method and design. This study will be conducted over one school year. The design of this quantitative research is a pre- and post-test. The data from the pre- and post-test will be compared to see how inclusion impacted the academic achievement of special education students. Population. The population that will be studied is K-5 students from a local elementary school. The sample will consist of students in special education. Students and teachers will be randomly selected. The first group will participate in full inclusion. The special education teacher will co-teach in the general education classroom, and students will receive most of the service alongside their non-disabled peers. The second group will not participate in inclusion. The special education teacher will pull students out of the general education classroom and receive their services in a special education classroom. Data collection. Students in the controlled and experimental groups will take a pretest for reading and math using iReady diagnostic assessment. This pretest will determine if students are above, at, or below grade level. Students will be monitored throughout the study to track their progress. Mid-year students will take the iReady diagnostic assessment to document if there has been any growth. At the end of the year, students will take one last iReady diagnostic assessment to identify if students have grown in the area of reading and math. Students who are in second grade and above will also take the state assessment ACAP. This data will be used to determine students' academic growth throughout the year. Instrumentation. Academic achievement will be measured by reading and math scores. Students will take a pre-test to determine their present level in reading and math. Throughout the study, progress monitoring will take place to track student progress. Students will take a post-test at the end of the study to determine if there was any growth. Students in second grade and above will also take the ACAP assessment to determine the student's knowledge. Data analysis. Students in both the controlled and experimental groups will take the iReady diagnostic for reading and math at the beginning, middle, and end of this quantitative study. A t-test will be used to analyze the data of this quantitative study. The scores from the pre-test, mid-year test, and post-test will be compared for both the controlled and experimental groups. After analyzing the data, it will be determined if the hypothesis for this quantitative study was correct or not. Limitations. There can be several different limitations throughout this study. Absences, delivery of instruction from general education teacher and the special education teacher, death of a family member, students moving, birth of a new sibling, or marriage or divorce of parents. Steps and sequences. This study will be conducted professionally and ethically following the city training. Consent forms will be sent to the schools and to all those involved in the study. The Institutional Review Board will review and approve the study. CITI training. The Code of Ethics will be followed to ensure that everyone involved in the study is protected. The training teaches the guidelines that should be followed when conducting a study that involves humans. Consent will be received, the privacy of those involved will be protected, and those involved will be informed of the details of the study. School and informed consent. The study will not begin until consent has been given by the parents. Their letter will be given to a parent, a description of the study's purpose, how it will be conducted, and how the participants will be protected. Parents will also be informed that they may remove their child from the study at any time. A letter of consent will be sent to the superintendent of the district. The consent form will include the purpose of the study, how students will be protected, and an action plan. After receiving consent from the superintendent, I will gain consent from the parents of the students involved in the study. Results and reflection. iReady diagnostic and ACAP scores will demonstrate if students participating in full inclusion has a positive impact on their academic achievement. In my proposal, I was looking at K through 5th grade. I would narrow it down to only 3rd grade so we could compare ACAP scores from 2nd grade. And these are my references that were used throughout the study. Thank you.